When I talk about pre-exposure impressions for the show, what I really mean is I haven't experienced an episode in its official capacity, mostly due to where I live and the fact that I'm monolingual, but this is a brand new animated show made outside of America that seems to have gotten a lot of attention. Belfort Lupin, a show about a royal dog whose best friend is a garden wolf. It's an unlikely friendship, much like the fox and the hound, though the internet has an interesting way of viewing friendships in media. This friendship in particular is often depicted as something more in fan works. I gotta be honest, Belfort's gender wasn't immediately apparent from the teaser. The way the two leads are designed and interact with each other gives off a vibe like Lady and the Tramp, another Disney film about an oddball couple, though that one is more romantic. But this is more like the Fox and the Hound in that it's a purely platonic relationship. If there's any real Disney connection in this show, it's the art design. It's inspired specifically by Mary Blair, who did concept art for Disney's Cinderella, Peter Pan, and Alice in Wonderland, and also It's a Small World. If you watch Cinderella and compare the design to that of Belfort and Lupin, you'll notice a few similarities. But what the animation style really reminds me of is Klaus, the Netflix original Christmas film. Both of these pieces of media have a look to it that's almost like a blend of 2D and 3D animation. Though even Disney themselves have done something similar, like in their short film Paperman and in their feature Wish, which is actually an inferior example, but clearly the visual design in this show took a lot of influence from Disney while also having its own identity. The show is set in the Palace of Versailles during the reign of King Louis XIV, setting the time period in the mid-1600s. As I've come to understand, the king himself would actually make a few physical appearances in the show. Anyway, the king's favorite dog, at least his fictionalized version, is Belfort, a smart and rebellious dog, but one that lacks a sense of smell. That's where Lupin comes in. As a wolf, the humans are sure to grab their pitchforks if they spot Lupin in the garden, so naturally, Lupin mustn't be seen by the humans. However, the rest of the animals that live in the royal menagerie don't mind him too much. In fact, that's pretty much what the show is about. Belfort and Lupin are partners in solving various problems for other animals, whether they be within the menagerie or outside. So far, 18 episodes of the show have been released in France, but the plan is to have 26 episodes released for the first season, and at this current point in time, I haven't heard anything about an English dub being worked on, but I imagine it's not too far away. After all, the official YouTube channel for the show was how I first heard about it, back when it was brand new, which is like 2 months ago. While the audio is still in French, which is only natural, some of the clips from the show that are posted on the channel actually allow you to toggle English captions. Just be wary that some of the earlier videos with these captions had a pretty rough translation. And I'm saying this as someone who only knows a few French words and phrases but not fluent in the language itself. The YouTube Shorts, on the other hand, pretty much always have the English translations for you to read, but even from the beginning, these translations were much smoother. So what happened when they started putting them in 16:9 videos? Well, I'm not going to knock it too much because it did get better eventually. I bet a lot of these were just direct translations, which isn't ideal. Stranger still about translating the dialogue for the captions, sometimes it's from the same clip. Here's an example, the clip with the panicking flamingo. The same clip, from beginning to end, is in both short form and video form, but the English translations are totally different between the two. You can't even agree between both formats on the same channel? But let's run a comparison. When Belfort is giving the geography lecture about rivers, the translations in both formats are so-so. But once we're past the lecture, the shorts version is translated more smoothly compared to the video version. Well, what that tells me is that if an English dub is indeed being worked out, they got some kinks to get sorted, then they'll be ready to record. I only know that an English dub would take a while to write, cast, record, edit, then release, so I'll be waiting for that time to come. But if you just can't wait to watch the show in English, someone shared a file on Google Drive and Mega containing 13 episodes in the original French language and 4 that were dubbed in English. Only thing though, none of the dubs are official, and good thing too. The voice work here is pretty bad. For one thing, there's often not enough emoting, probably because the actors aren't professionals.
Chico, please, I beg you, calm down.
Sometimes there are lines missing, and character sounds like screaming or other such noises are lacking. The voice pitches may change for no reason. No, it's definitely not for comedic effect.
I must ensure that the royal pup looks impeccable.
A character might even speak in the wrong voice.
Human penmanship is already hard enough to read as it is.
If only it was well written.
Let's hope that works.
I do like the artistic licensing decisions made in how the characters speak in English though. Belfort has this sort of posh British accent, and Lupin has a young, high-pitched American accent.
Hi there, Belfort.
And a good day to you, my dear Lupin.
These unofficial dubs are the only way I've experienced the show so far, because I don't want to watch something in another language if there's no English subtitles available. Don't consider this an official review, even if I will give a brief synopsis and note some highlights, but here are the episodes that have been dubbed in its unofficial capacity. First is production code 107, Ariane's Crime, which the unofficial dub calls The Cat Did It. Ariane is a Siamese cat that lives in the palace. She's usually there to help our heroes, but is also a wiseacre. In this episode, Ariane is agitated by her nap being interrupted, but is falsely accused of having eaten the queen's parrot. So Belfort and Lupin set out to find the parrot and prove the cat's innocence. Highlights include Lupin smelling the perfume presented by the royal perfumer so he could describe it for Belfort.
There's a lavender stink, rose stink, and orange blossom stink.
Then there's this running gag where Lupin passes out after catching a whiff of the dog valet's stinky feet. I especially love the moment near the end when the parrot is being lured to the queen, but goes no further after figuring out the trick, and then Lupin scolds him for allowing Ariane to be falsely accused. You can tell he's had enough of this crap.
You know, you're a real turkey.
Next is production code 108, The Wig House, which was actually the first episode to air on Oku. In this one, Belfort and Lupin must help a mouse named Gazette who studies human behaviors and social codes, even adhering to some, like walking on two legs and wearing clothes. She lives in the queen's wig in order to make her studies, but the wig has mysteriously vanished, leaving it up to our canine duo to find it. There's a few comedic highlights, like when Belfort tries to introduce Lupin to grooming, resulting in a short, funny chase. Another is when Lupin refuses to sniff one of the queen's ribbons due to the amount of perfume in the air, and Belfort makes a whole show of it.
I'm picking up neither track nor trail. If only there was someone to help us in our search.
Not like smelling the ribbon got them a lead anyway.
Feeling pretty woozy here.
It's also one of the more heartfelt episodes I've seen, especially considering the home Gazette's parents made in the wig is the only family member she has left. There's even a scene where Lupin expresses empathy, putting himself in Gazette's situation, causing Belfort to well up.
Gazette needs to find her house. It's the only thing she has left of her parents.
All that pollen.
Production code 111, Disoriented, referred to in the unofficial dub as Fly Flamingo Fly. Now, why does it feel like inspiration with that particular name was taken?
Fly, flamingo, fly!
The plot for this one is that a flamingo named Chico had lost his way trying to fly to Africa, so Belfort and Lupin try to help him find his sense of direction. One constant thing is that Chico is prone to panic attacks whenever things aren't going well, and trust me, it gets old quick.
Panic attack!
It was funny when he goes into a panic and Lupin comments that he might hit another statue. Yeah, it just happens that statue was a live specimen of a gray wolf covered with fur. This one's good for chuckles, but honestly one of my lesser favorites. But again, this isn't an official dub, so don't count this as an official review. Finally, production code 115, Fountain Breakdown, known as the Swans Ballet. A Russian troupe of swans arrive at Versailles to perform a ballet in one of the fountains, but one problem. The fountain stopped working, and the stakes are high because if the show fails, the troupe leader will be fed to the Tsar's cat. So Belfort and Lupin have to figure out what's happening with the fountains. By the looks of it, it's probably one of the few episodes to really feature a villain, this black swan named Igor, who served as a rival to Narayevich, the troupe leader. Compare that to The Wig House and Ariane's Crime, which simply had antagonists, and Disoriented, which had no antagonist. Though let's be honest, Narayevich gave himself too much credit and he's always casting himself in the main role of his ballets, but Igor allowed his jealousy to get the better of him and thus tried to sabotage the show by draining the fountain water. In the end, the issues are sorted out, Narayevich and Igor make up, and the ballet is a success. Of course, this is only 4 out of 26 episodes in the first season, and none of them are officially dubbed at this point in time, but you can learn more about what the show may have to offer by watching some behind-the-scenes interviews posted on the official YouTube channel. The people that make the show possible talk a bit about the inspiration for the show, the process that goes into making it, and some of their favorite moments. From what I could tell, there's both funny moments and emotional moments. This is a show that people put their heart into. It's a funny animal show made for kids, and one that could just as easily speak to adults. This leads into why I'm even so interested in this show, aside from what I've stated already. If you've been on my channel recently, you'll know I'm a big fan of Bluey, an Australian animated TV show that, like Belfort Lupin, also has a dog for a main character. Of course, Belfort Lupin is very different in that it's a French show with a huge variety of animals, and they're not anthropomorphic even if they do exhibit humanistic qualities. Not to mention, it's set in 17th century Versailles. For the time being, I'm on sabbatical from making Bluey content because at the moment, there's not really much new to talk about. I mean, I've talked about the minisodes, there's plans for a new LEGO Bluey theme, and a feature film written and directed by Joe Brum, the show's creator, is set to release in 2027. In between, there may be new episodes, but I feel like I need something to hold me over for even that. Luckily, the teaser for Belfort Lupin showed up in my YouTube recommended, and, well, the rest is history. So ultimately, my official pre-exposure impressions are thus. It seems like the show is mostly popular on the internet due to the fanships, but when you really get into it, what you see is a genuinely good show. It's got lovable characters, a brilliant sense of artistic design, and it's a great look into the Palace of Versailles, so much so that at the end of each episode, they take a minute to give us a little history lesson about the palace, most of which based on important elements of the episode we watched, basically to provide some context and educational value. Once the series is officially dubbed in English, whenever that'll happen, I look forward to watching through the first season for real so I can have an official perspective. It's safe to say my first impressions are positive and I want to see more.